Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Axie Infinity and kind of see what's going on, obviously, if it's going to continue to increase or kind of slow down. We'll hopefully be able to identify that here. Now, if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, just love teaching people how to trade. So hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. I'm truly passionate about helping others become better traders. So I do have a trading community with a trading academy where I teach you how to become a better trader. Hours worth of content there, just helping you understand step by step every step of the way, understanding how to get there, of course, from point A to point B. And then more importantly as well, I've got signals that I send out and a handful of amazing opportunities through our community. So definitely check that out. I've got some awesome people as part of that group, and I'm just amazed to be part of this journey with you. So thank you so much to my current community members for your belief in me, and of course, obviously helping sustain an amazing environment. Thank you. Take a look here at Axie. Let's go ahead and jump right into the one-day chart. That's usually how I like to do things. So if I guess just generally new to the channel, or even if you're not, you'll know that I like to work my way down from top to bottom. Just so you know, the reason for that isn't just because I'm trying to, take up time and fill the gap here, right? What I'm trying to do is understand every single time frame and identify at least 2 or 3 indicators per time frame. Kind of find out, if it's worth it. And you're kind of building a case to see if it's worth investing in or if it's going to turn around. Again, all you can really do is kind of anticipate what's going to happen next based on previous data. That's what we're doing here. So taking a look at the one-day chart, as you can see, we got the 50-day working its way down. So that's a 50-day set moving average, this orange line, the 200s above. So that could work as a resistance level, and we might see the price, kind of continue, or sorry, the simple moving average continue, right? And then the price comes up and it might reject on off the 50. That does happen sometimes. So just be mindful of the fact that we're coming up to a potential resistance at about $74. Now, is that going to happen immediately? We'll find out, but generally speaking, the 50 just slowly averages its way down and eventually averages its way back up. Notoriously, the 50 is a pretty strong indication of a resistance or support. Break above, close above, we'll be in good shape. Another thing to note here as well, this is positive news, but it's not fully there yet. In other words, the RSI is trying to close above 50. If it does, then we'll be in much better shape here. In other words, 50 on the RSI is somewhere in the range of $60 to $64. There's this little support channel here that will likely hold the price action in place. Okay, now it could be a resistance channel if the one-day candlestick closes below that, but if we can get the one-day candle to close above 64, for example, then we'll have that one-day close on the RSI above 50, and we can establish $64 as a very strong candidate for a support level. And that'd be awesome if that were to be the case, right? So that's kind of where we're at there for Axie Infinity on the one day. The only thing else I can note is that the MACD is still converging. So we could see it continue to increase. Now this can go for a very long time. So just bear in mind, as we can see here, how low it continued to go regardless of that. Doesn't matter, right? We could literally see this continue for days. So try not to think that, okay, we're overextended on the MACD, it's going to reverse. That's not necessarily the case. So that I don't put a lot of weight into that. I like it when it converges, of course, gives us a buy signal, but outside of that, just tells us the momentum is significantly bullish right now, which is fine, right? Because Bitcoin jumped up 11% in one day 3 days ago. It's been rolling sideways ever since, giving us a little bit of less fear, less uncertainty, and less doubt in the market. Coins like this are starting to take off because of it, right? And that's really awesome to identify. And as we can kind of see here, we take a look at this. Let's go ahead and identify with TD sequential. So first and foremost, we see an obvious 9, right? We hit a 9 on TD sequential and got the little reset, and we're still considered to be in overtime. Now, we could essentially consider that to be enough consolidation, right? That was roughly 12 to 16 hours of consolidation before the price continued upwards. So for lack of better terms, even though, yes, TD sequential is telling us we're kind of exhausted, I still think we had enough reprieve there, and we could be about a 5 on TD sequential, and we might actually experience 4 more 4-hour candlesticks. So I would say in the range of 12 to 16 hours, we should see the price continue to try to increase from here. Now, is it going to just continue to shoot up from here? Not exactly, but it will continue to try. Again, depending on how the price consolidates here at about $64. And once again, we have this support channel here potentially. It's kind of worked its way up. It does need time to consolidate right there at 64 and then leg up again. I would love it if it got a reset there at 64 and then continued higher. Once again, we don't know specifically if that's going to happen, but generally that's kind of the case. Another thing to keep in mind too here, though, is that even though TD sequential is telling us we're slightly overextended and we're up over 70 on the RSI, there's no telling how much higher this could go. And what I mean by that is that usually when you're up over 70 on the RSI, it's a good consideration to consideration rather to essentially not necessarily sell your position, but to consider trimming some of your position if the RSI comes back down under 70, right? And that's just kind of the common rule of thumb. So I would just generally say that at this point, RSI is overextended and the TD sequential is telling us we need to slow down. So I wouldn't expect Axie to continue to shoot straight up from here. But if we get a little bit more consolidation and kind of do another similar pattern to what we saw here, this up over staircase type of pattern, then we're going to be just fine to see this leg up again. So I mean, I'm very confident we're going to see $75 to $84 in the fairly near future, just because this has really good momentum, good continuation. But there's no doubt that the midterm on the 4-hour is overextended, and usually that tells us that we're going to possibly see either a retracement or consolidation. So you be the judge there. It's up to you. Make sure you have a nice tight stop loss somewhere in the range of maybe $60 if you're going to consider a position to the upside right now. Heaven forbid it comes down and and breaks, then you're okay. There's nothing wrong with getting stopped out. The key is to work within your risk tolerance and not consistently be losing money. You lose a little bit here and there, that's all well and good. The key is to maximize your benefit, right? Try to shoot for a 2-to-1, 3-to-1, or 4-to-1 ratio in your trades. I cover all this in my trading academy. So obviously if you're currently a subscriber, you might want to check that out. But regardless of that fact, I think the 4-hour does appear to be a little bit on the overextended. We should see a consolidation around 64. Worst case scenario, the price comes back down, which wouldn't be a terrible thing. Because when you think about it here, let me go ahead and get rid of this. You can see that the price comes up, right? Comes down, up again. If it comes down here, that's still making a higher high and a higher low, right? The next high would be up around 68. So this feels like it's trading within this channel quite nicely. And I love it when coins have a tendency of hitting these key level Fibonacci retracement lines and bouncing off and continuing in different directions. In other words, as we can tell here, $59 was a strong resistance, came down. It's like, nope, we don't kind of care about that. We're going to come up here to 64. Now we're at 64. We'll likely see consolidation here and or the price comes down to leg up again. So I don't foresee Axie just taking a significant turnaround or a nosedive. Once again, it's done very well for itself and Bitcoin's gone sideways. So keep this in mind too, just some little friendly advice. I've covered Bitcoin, of course, check that out in your own time. I cover that daily, but my daily review here of Bitcoin is that we're probably going to see a pullback to 40,000 in that range. It may not be significant, it may not be tomorrow, but we'll probably eventually see that. Therefore, how is Axie going to respond to that? Well, we don't truly know yet. Key takeaway here is that we're up over the 200-day simple moving average. We can hold that position above the 200 for a few more candlesticks. We can rely on that being a support level, and that support will continue to average itself out here, and we shouldn't see anything lower than $59. Okay, so I'd feel comfortable with taking a position with Axie and having a stop loss somewhere around 58, 59, just to be on the safe side, and then of course, long to the upside from there, right? But I wouldn't expect it just to keep shooting straight up from here. We need a little bit more consolidation at 64/59, and then we'll be in much better shape. Speaking of which, let's see if we've lost enough momentum or if it's going to continue here. Ichimoku Cloud does technically tell us that we want to continue to hold our position open and see what happens next. Now, once again, the likelihood of it shooting straight up from here, I think is pretty low. But of course, coins will surprise you. Gala surprised me again yesterday. I thought that it was going to stop at 33%. It almost doubled that same increase in just under 24 hours. So obviously there's no guarantees, right? Axie could continue to shoot straight up. I think it's a good coin. I think it'll get back to its original point, its highest high. But at this time right now, we have maybe somewhere in the range of 6 hours before the cloud tells us either we close this position or the price continues higher. One of those two things will happen first. All right, and to me personally, I like to rely on the cloud. I'm more conservative. If you're new to the channel or just in general, you know how my trading style is. I like to take profits when I can, often, right? I'm not the let it ride kind of folk, and that's okay. If you are, that's all right too. There's nothing wrong with that per se. In my experience, I've gotten burned more times than not by not taking profits soon, right? And what I would do is if I was in this position, I'd probably close about 50, 75% of my total. I would take my profits. And I would let the rest ride, of course, and have a stop loss in place to cover that in case it comes back down. So I'm still in the green on that portion, right? But I've already taken my profits, right? So for lack of better terms here, just kind of understand that we've got roughly maybe 6 to 10 hours worst case scenario, somewhere in that range, where if the price doesn't increase from here, then the lagging span will intersect with the price action, and it'll give us kind of an indication to close our position, right? Again, you don't have to close the whole thing. If you're long on Axie for HODL account, perfectly fine. I'm sure you'll get there. I'm confident that this will actually do very well, but we got to be realistic in the fact that it may I wouldn't say turnaround, but it'll probably slow down and lose momentum soon, at least for a little while. Okay, so just trying to be the voice of reason here for you. I hope that you understand. I always looking out for your best interest. And big picture here, once again, let's go ahead and just throw this out here really quick. We'll just see in the immediate future what we have looking at. It's pretty much really close there. Why don't we just go ahead and stick with the current estimate here? I would say within the next week or two, we should see $75 to $84. I think that's very likely for it to test those key level Fibonacci retracement lines. And at this point, again, I think we're going to see some sideways action for a couple of days, and then the next leg up after Bitcoin makes its decision. So just be mindful. Today and yesterday are weekends, right? Weekends are notoriously green for altcoins, specifically if Bitcoin's in good shape. And Bitcoin did very well on Friday to close out the trading day. Please be mindful of that. Later today, here soon, in fact, we're going to see the futures open up, and we're going to see if either a gap gets filled, or if there is a gap in the futures, of course, over the weekend, and that will help us understand how the trading week's going to shape up. So just pay attention to those things, but try not to be naive going into this. Be cautious and careful, and obviously take some profits if you can. Don't necessarily close your whole position, but set a stop loss at least $59. All right, that's my 2 cents and then some here today. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you found benefit. Looking forward to getting to know you better if you want to become a community member. Once again, Signals, Trading Community, and Trading Academy, all in the description below, CryptoCache.tech. We'll see you soon. Have a good rest of your day.